All right, let's dive into an ancient text, the book of Proverbs, but I want you to forget everything you think you know about it. We are not here for a sermon. Nope. Think of us more like literary detectives, because it turns out hidden within these famous sayings is a deliberate secret code based on how they're arranged. You know how it is when you read Proverbs, right? It can feel like just a jumbled list of wise sayings. One verse is about money, the next one's about family. It's kind of like cracking open a spiritual fortune cookie. But what if I told you that jumbled mess isn't a mess at all? What if that chaos is actually hiding a brilliant design right there in plain sight? And this is where it gets really wild. Just take a look at Proverbs chapter 26. Verse 4 says, "Answer not a fool." And then, literally, the very next sentence in verse 5 says, "Answer a fool." So, which one is it? Did someone just mess up, make a huge typo? Absolutely not. This isn't a mistake, it's a breadcrumb. It's a clue leading us somewhere fascinating. So, what gives? Is the book just broken? Or is this contradiction actually a deliberate signpost, pointing us to a much, much deeper way of reading? I think you know the answer. Let's dig in. Yep, you guessed it. It's not a bug. It's a feature. This is 100% intentional design. Scholars have pored over this, and they've realized the book's ancient editors left these little puzzles on purpose. They're basically waving a huge flag saying, "Hey, you, look closer." All right, so to crack this code, we've got to shift our perspective. We need to stop thinking so much about who wrote each individual proverb and start thinking about the people who arranged them. We need to get inside the mind of the collector. So what is collector's intent? Well, think of it like this. An ancient editor is acting like a DJ making the perfect playlist, or a museum curator setting up a powerful exhibit. Each song or each painting is great on its own, for sure. But the real magic, it's in the order. It's in what comes before and what comes after. By putting two proverbs together, they're basically handing you two ideas and saying, okay, you find the connection. The real wisdom comes from you connecting the dots. Okay, so you might be thinking, all right, that's a cool trick with the full verses, but is it just a one-off thing? Oh, not even close. Get ready for this number, a full 21%. 21% of the core of Proverbs is intentionally arranged in these pairs. Let that sink in for a second. We're talking about chapters 10 through 29. That's 124 verses out of about 568 that are intentionally paired up. That means more than 1/5 of the entire collection was deliberately structured this way. This is no random coincidence, folks. This is a fundamental core design feature of the book. Okay, so we know what they were doing. Now let's get into the really cool part, how they did it. They had this whole toolbox of sophisticated literary tricks to link these verses together and get us thinking. First up, we've got something called the inclusio. It's a fancy word, but the idea is simple. Just think of it like a literary envelope. You've got an opening word, then the message in the middle, and then you seal it with that very same word at the end. It neatly packages the whole thought for you. Check this out. Here's a perfect example in Proverbs 13. Verse 21 starts with sinners. Then you get the stuff in the middle, and look how verse 22 ends, with sinner. See that? It's the envelope. That's not an accident. That's the editor's way of saying, hey, these two verses, they're one complete thought. Read them together. All right, next up is a really elegant one called the chiasm. Think of it like a literary mirror or an X shape. It follows this beautiful A-B-B-A pattern. The ideas from the first half get reflected in reverse order in the second half. It's just a brilliant way to focus your attention. Okay, let's walk through this one from Proverbs 15. So verse 8 kicks off with the sacrifice of the wicked ones. We'll call that A. Then it says it's an abomination to the Lord. That's B. Now watch the mirror in the next verse. It starts with an abomination to the Lord. There's our second B. And it ends with the way of the wicked one, our second A. A, B, B, A. See how it just folds in on itself? It's just perfect. And finally, we have the simplest but maybe the most powerful technique of all. The catchword. This is exactly what it sounds like. The editors just use the same keyword or phrase in two verses back to hook them together. It's super obvious and totally undeniable. Now, this is what I like to call the smoking gun. Take a look at Proverbs 14. The catchphrase here is the fear of the Lord. Now, that phrase, it's actually pretty rare. In this entire chunk of over 500 verses, it only shows up 9 times. So what are the chances? the mathematical chances that the only time it appears back to back is right here. It's basically impossible for this to be a coincidence. The collector is practically screaming at us through the text, pay attention, these two belong together. Okay, so we've covered the what, the fact that these pairs exist, and we've covered the how, the clever literary tricks they used. But that all leads to the biggest question of all. So what? Who cares? Why does any of this actually matter? Well, it matters because this was the whole point. The collectors weren't just tidying up. They were intentionally stringing these ideas together to, as this quote says, push the wise to higher order thinking. Their goal was never, ever to give you a simple one-size-fits-all answer. That's not what wisdom is. Here's the best way I can put it. Proverbs isn't a rule book to be passively followed. It's a gym for your mind. Each of these pairs, especially the ones that seem to contradict each other, they're like a piece of workout equipment. They are designed to make you struggle, to make you wrestle with complexity. You don't get stronger by lifting something easy, and you don't get wiser by reading simple answers. You have to build that mental muscle. So what's the big takeaway here? It means we have to read Proverbs in a totally new way. We have to stop plucking out single verses like they're individual fortune cookie sayings. Instead, we need to look for the connections, to see the conversation happening on the page. Because the real deep wisdom, it's not just in the verses, it's found in the dynamic space between them. And honestly, this idea goes way beyond just the book of Proverbs. It changes how you can look at almost any text. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? The next time you pick up a book, any book, are you just going to read the words on the page? Or are you going to start listening for those hidden conversations, the ones that are waiting for you, right there, between the lines?